Hello everyone, it's Lisa. You all know me from your school swimming lessons. We're just going to go through a quick presentation on water safety as we won't be able to cover this in our school swimming lessons this year. So we're going to look at all sorts of different things about how we can stay safe near the water, but these are the 4 most important things to remember. Stop and think. Stay together. Float. Call 999 or 112. So stop and think, is it safe? If you're not sure, don't get in. Are there paths to use that are going around the lake and would keep you safer? Or if you go off those paths, will you still stay safe by the water? Are there lifeguards nearby? Things to think about. Stay together. Have lots of fun in your group, but try to stay together. Make sure that you don't go wandering off on your own. Float. Now we're going to look at this a lot more later, but it's something that you can always remember to do. Float. And call 999 if you or someone else needs help. Okay, so I found this picture. It's got lots of different dangers. In fact, there are 14. So if you'd like to pause the video to find them all, you can do that. See if you can spot all 14. Alright, we're going to have a quick look at what the differences are between swimming pools, outdoor swimming pools, beaches, and that is a picture of a lake. Now, there are some organised swimming lessons here where people are swimming up and down in their lanes. There's a free swim and also at the beach and in the river. Now, you can see from the river swim that is an organised swim. They're all wearing appropriate clothing, but beaches wouldn't be an organised swim, not normally. Okay, what other differences can you think of between all those different places that you can swim? So here are some that I've come up with. The temperature. Now that can be the water temperature or the air temperature. It's quite different between swimming indoors and outdoors. In swimming pools, they will display the temperature of the water, so you'll always know how warm or cold it might be, but you don't always get that information when you're swimming outdoors in the beach, in the sea, in a lake or in a river. How clear the water is. Now, I think we'd all be pretty worried if the water was cloudy when we were getting into a swimming pool, but can you always see the bottom of the river or the sea? Sometimes it can be clear enough to see the bottom, sometimes it can't. Sometimes it's so deep that you can't see the bottom. Are there any hazards that you need to be aware of? Or indeed, are there any hazards that you don't know about? Things that could be hidden in the mud or on the sand underneath your feet? How deep it is. Now, swimming pools will always display signs to tell you how deep it is, but rivers and seas, the depth can change without any notice at all. Are there lifeguards present? Now, most swimming pools have lifeguards. Sometimes if you're at a caravan site, there might not be lifeguards present, but most swimming pools have a lifeguard. Some beaches have lifeguards, and we will go into that a little bit more later. Some rivers and some lakes will have lifeguards too. Things like safe exit points. Now, swimming pools, it could be a beach entry, which is where it's graduated and you just walk in like you would at the beach. But you know that it's a nice, safe way to enter the water in a swimming pool that's got that beach entry, or you've got steps so you can get into the pool that way and get out. But things like lakes and rivers wouldn't necessarily have those exit points, and it might be slippy or incredibly steep. The weather can have a big bearing on how things are outside. It affects swimming, and if it's windy, there could be some currents, and if it's stormy, you should stay out of the water. Tides and currents as well, you can't always see them. Another thing to remember, as we've already said, is if you get into any difficulties, you can float on your back. So if you feel that it's getting really hard work to swim back in the direction you want to go in, you need to float on your back and shout for help. Now, we go through this in lessons, so some of you will already know the answers to this. We've got a red and yellow flag. These are used in the UK and they are used by the beach. So this one means that it is safe to swim in this area. The checkered flag, if you can remember, means water sports only, and the red flag, it is not safe to enter the water. So these are put up by the lifeguards, and it's important to follow the information and try to remember what they mean. Let's have a little bit more of a look. So the red and yellow flag. This area is lifeguarded. This will tell you where the lifeguards are watching, and you need to swim between two of these flags. Bodyboarding is okay here. Okay, surfboards aren't, but bodyboards are. We'll go through that a little bit in a moment. There aren't any riptides in this area. The lifeguards have assessed the area and have chosen this area as being the safest in the beach to swim in. And there's less likely to have sudden drops in the water depth. So it'll be a nice graduated entry and exit from the beach. Okay, the checkered flag. No motorised water sports. So this will include, motorised vehicles would be motorboats or jet skis. Everything else is okay. Surfers, canoes, kayaks, but it doesn't include bodyboarding. Bodyboarding needs to be in the swimming area. And you're also not allowed to swim in this area. That is really quite important. You swim between the red and the yellow flags. And red. Red always means danger. So the lifeguards has decided that it's not safe to enter the water. So we'll just have another quick look at this. Again, you can pause it if you didn't find all 14. Have a quick look. Press pause. Spend a bit more time. Now, I have highlighted all 14 of them for you. See if you got them right. Now, there's a few that I wanted to point out to you. So the first one is this child down on the right-hand side is a lost child. Remembering back to one of the very first slides that we did? He is a lost child and he doesn't quite know what to do. So my suggestion would be, if you do ever get lost, is to go and find a lifeguard. So you can see them here in their uniforms, keeping an eye out. Yellow top, red shorts. Go and tell them and they will help you to find your party again. But it's really important if you can try and stay together at all times. Another one I wanted you to look at. This chap here is heading out into sea on his own. He's unsupervised and he needs to have someone watching him. It also looks like he's heading towards the rocks, which I don't think is the greatest of ideas. This chap is quite difficult to see, but he's blue in the face. If you get cold or tired, you should come straight in and wrap up warm. Don't wait until you're absolutely exhausted before you come in. The weather in the background, you can see there's a storm brewing. You do need to keep an eye out for those things. It's really not safe to stay in the water if there's a storm. So thunder and lightning, come out of the water. The lifeguards would suggest that they would change the flags from being the stripy ones, red and yellow, into a red flag, which means danger. And the other two I wanted to point out are these chaps over here. They're stranded. So when the tide came in, they got stranded on a little island all of their own. But you do have to keep an eye on that tide because it's very unpredictable. Okay. Oh, managed to press the wrong button. Well done, me. Okay. Outdoor water safety tips. Always stay with your group. We've just gone over that. Don't swim alone. Always talk to an adult before going into the water. We've talked about that as well. Always look for warning and guidance, flags and notices. You can check on the internet for what time the tides are to give you an idea. Lifeguards quite often post this information on signs and notice boards, so tide times and water temperature sometimes. So it's important to have a look out for that information. If you're going into the sea, it's helpful to wear a bright coloured swimming hat so you can always be seen. And swim along the coastline, not out to sea. So you follow the edge of the water and swim side to side, not going out to sea. And when you get cold or you're tired, you should come out of the water as soon as you start to feel that way. So we do talk about this quite a lot. We've covered it when we were at Kings Hill, and we do quite extensively at St Mary's, so some of you will already know about this. What to do if you fall into the water. Now, it's important that you float on your back. Why do you need to float on your back? So it's really easy to catch your breath. You can breathe more easily. You need to try to relax. Let your muscles relax as we float better when we're not tensing our muscles. Breathe normally. Your breathing will change, especially if it's cold. So really try to relax, to breathe normally. Don't panic. Try very, very hard to breathe normally. Just give yourself some time, lying on your back in a nice big star. Once your breathing is okay and steady, so it's nice and regular, you can use your voice to call for help. Now, if you think about when you fall into water, you're most likely to have clothes and shoes on, which will make it harder to float. But it's really important. It's much easier to float on your back than try to swim with clothes on, and it will help you to catch your breath. It's a nice, big, loud help, help. We do practice this at school. It's the noisiest lesson I think we do. Okay, if you get tired while swimming, now we have covered this already, but it's just a quick reminder. Float on your back, relax, breathe normally. Once your breathing is okay and steady and you feel comfortable to start swimming on your back, you can do so towards the side of a swimming pool, towards the riverbank, or back towards the beach. Now, probably the easiest thing to do is just kick your legs, keep your arms still, keep them flapping down by your side like we've practiced at school. But always, always ask for help if you need it. If you see someone else fall in or someone needing help, what should you do? Again, we cover this in school swimming lessons, but you should always never get in. Don't get in yourself. You need to keep yourself safe. I always suggest pointing at the casualty, the person who's having difficulties, and don't take your eyes off them. Keep your finger pointing at them so you always know where they are. If there's a current or if there's a tide, it could move them around a bit. So if you keep looking at them and pointing at them, you'll always know where they are so you can get help. Shout for help. Get anybody over to help, and you can ring 999 or 112 to get someone to come and help you. But keep pointing at that casualty. So back to one of the original slides. 4 things to remember. Stop and think. Is there information out there that I can use to make a decision as to whether it is safe? What about if there aren't any flags? What does that tell you? If you go to the beach and there aren't any flags, it'll simply tell you that there's no lifeguards present. Now, does that mean you cannot swim? No, it doesn't. It just means that there's no lifeguard. So you need to think really carefully about whether it's safe to swim. Make a choice, talk to the grown-ups that you are there with, and then make a decision as to whether it's safe to enter the water. Stay together. Safety in numbers. Always tell an adult if you need to move away from where they are. Take somebody with you so you can stay in a pair. If you need to go to the toilet, you should let an adult know. Always stay together. Remember, floating on your back is the safest thing you can do if you're having difficulties yourself, or you could encourage somebody else to float on their back if they're having difficulties. Okay, floating on your back is important. Try to remember that. Call 999 or 112. Now, hopefully you won't need to ever use any of this information, but at least you've learnt it today. We'll go over it year after year at school. It's really important for you to remember this stuff. But I don't want to get away from the fact you should be having fun too. It's not always really scary, but important stuff to remember. Okay, if you want to find out more information, you can go onto the RNLI website or these other websites that I've found. There's lots of information on the internet about water safety. I hope you all have a wonderful summer. Get out and enjoy the countryside and the beaches with social distancing and all of that jazz. But you take care, and I hope to see you really soon for some swimming lessons at school, and most likely in the playground dropping off my own children to school. Take care Stay safe and best wishes. Bye-bye.